coast to coast. We've got two host to host. Welcome to another episode of the Fivecast Podcast. Intricately prepared top 5 list for your enjoyment from the Sentinel Tower and parts unknown. I'm your host, Tyler. And today, James Willems. How you doing, James?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Welcome to the Fivecast. I love having guests on and getting to know people. It's one of my favorite things. I'm glad you can make it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on.
James and I, we're not the best of friends. We could be. But right now, currently, we're not the best of friends. We are friends, though, I would say.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
But there's one thing that may bring us together on this day. James, and I think you know what I'm referring to.
I think so.
It's the motherfucking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, this show has, I don't know, set the foundation for my childhood, set the foundation for my adulthood. It was something I was into ever since it came on in, 93. Watched it every day. 3 times a day. I have an interesting story about where your story's more interesting than mine. But at one point, I lived outside of St. Louis, and the Fox station where it used to play was it basically went out of business. Like the local affiliate just was like, "We're gone. We're out of here."
Okay.
And so Power Rangers was gone for as a kid it felt like years, but it was probably like 2 months.
Yeah.
And eventually there was like a local religious channel that would show these shows that were supposed to be on Fox. So they'd show like Power Rangers, and they'd show like Beetleborgs or Animaniacs or something like that. And there'd be like a minister who would come on during the commercial breaks and be like, "Oh yeah, man, the Power Rangers have great power, but there's nothing as great as God's love." And I'm like, so as a kid, I'm like, okay, I'm just in for the Power Rangers guy, but great message, whatever. But James, you told me off mic a pretty amazing story. Go ahead, your history of Power Rangers.
I don't know if I'd call it amazing, but basically same as you. I was at the right age to really get into Power Rangers when I was a kid, and so I really got into it. I thought the toys were great. I love the whole transforming into superheroes thing.
Yeah.
From that, I grew my love for like anime and all kinds of Japanese culture and stuff like that. But basically, I thought it was awesome as a kid, and then as I got older, lost interest. But shortly after I moved out to LA, I ended up getting a job at a post-production house. And this post-production house happened to be the very same post-production house that was converting all of the Power Rangers episodes, which I think at the time was 20 seasons.
Oh, man.
Converting them all to digital formats so that way they can be up on Netflix. And right now, if you check, you can find pretty much every single season of Power Rangers up on Netflix.
Oh, I know.
They needed someone to watch all of those files and make sure that they were okay. As okay as a Power Rangers episode can be. And
you can't go back and replace acting or anything like that.
Yeah. And I kind of volunteered, tossed my hand to the ring for that.
Right.
And then, what was it, like 700 episodes later? I feel like I'm pretty well versed on Power Rangers and have a new adult appreciation for the series.
I was looking for an expert on the Power Rangers, and I think I found it. I found my expert.
I love it. I mean, watching it as an adult, I really appreciate it, and I think it's still really good. I'm throwing quotation marks around good.
Sure.
But I will say without a shadow of a doubt that Beetleborg sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's horrible, and it's terrible.
Here's the one thing I know about Beetleborgs. The actress who played the little girl was replaced at one point, but they wrote it in as if she was under a spell. Is that
yes,
something
I think that's
happened?
true. I think that's true. Yeah, they just changed her appearance, but then I think it was no one in the town knew that she changed. It's a very strange spell to cast.
It is, but like kids are so dumb they don't know. They're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, this is also the same show that stars a blue Jay Leno.
Yeah,
so,
clever.
Yeah, it's tough.
Now, you did VR Troopers too?
We did VR Troopers as well.
Did you do the Knights of Tirnanog?
No, we didn't do that. God, I haven't even heard that phrase in a very long time.
There was also the new Ninja Turtles or whatever that was called. Wasn't that?
There was the new Ninja Turtles. What we did have to do though were some episodes of that, and then there's a crossover episode, Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles in the same episode. I think it's a 2-part, and it takes place in Power Rangers in space.
But the Ninja Turtles come on.
Yeah, it's Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles, actually. So
that's badass.
It's pretty badass, except that it's terrible.
I remember when it came out, and I don't remember watching it now, but I'm sure it was. That's why I don't remember is because it was that awful. I never watched it again.
Yeah.
But news of a movie, Power Rangers movie. Get back on topic.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited? Are you legitimately, as an adult, excited about this?
I
have a theory.
Okay, you have a theory. I don't know if I'm excited. I'm going to have to hear more. You can't just say that you're going to make a movie and then all get excited, because I'm just naturally skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
I like Power Rangers when it's cheesy, like ridiculous, over the top self, and if they try and do some sort of dark and gritty, I don't know how you can get dark and gritty, but anything other than what feels like ridiculous teenagers with superpowers battling dumb monsters, like you're probably gonna lose me. So I don't know, but I'm curious to hear your theory.
Okay, my theory is, now it was only a few years ago where I got the information that the movie from 1995 and the show were in separate universes. Like, as a kid, you don't understand that. You think that, oh, this must happen during their summer vacation, because that's when the movie came out.
Yeah.
And then when they go back to school, that's when the show starts back up.
Yeah.
Well, my idea is that you can keep the new movie in that movie universe where theoretically there's still the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and there's still Tommy, Kimberly, Billy, and those other Rocky, Adam.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Like, if I was running things in Hollywood, that would be the path I would take. Except all those actors are pretty old now.
Yeah.
Like in their 40s.
You probably don't necessarily want to be tied to Power Rangers.
Right. But you could just cast new people, but like keep everything else the same. Like Ivan Ooze gets released or something. I don't know. That's what the 10-year-old wants in me.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah.
Because then you can like negate all like the 19 seasons of not Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that occurred between then and now.
There's something to be said for those seasons. There is a point where Disney took over, and they got really good.
Really?
If you haven't seen them, I suggest going and watching them, because they got really good. They're all really cheesy, but basically Disney was like, we're going to do, every single season is going to be like 30, 35 episodes, 38 episodes, or whatever. Okay. We're going to do those episodes, and then at the end, we're going to end that story. We're going to do a season break and come back with new Rangers, new cast, new enemies, new city, pretty much whole new universe. And as stupid as it sounds, the season pacing for some of those later seasons is really, really good. Like, better than like a Lost, like the kind of show where they don't know how long it's going to last for, they don't know when it's going to end, and so they don't reveal the killer, or they don't, like, they're constantly stringing you along with more questions.
Right.
There's a season of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, which you find out the twist, and I don't think I'm going to spoil it. I don't think anyone's going to get pissed off that I'm spoiling this, but the twist is that the Red Ranger is an artificial human being. Like, he's a robot.
Oh, no.
And he doesn't know it. And the audience doesn't know it until about 3/4 of the way into the whole season. It's like a big reveal.
Wow.
And then the rest of the show is him coming to terms with realizing that his whole life has been basically a program, like, made up in his head. And his dad isn't actually his dad. His dad is his inventor. And then if you take that moment and you rewatch the season, which no one should ever do, again, but I happen to do for my job, you see that leading up to that moment, there were all kinds of clues. Like, you probably couldn't have figured it out, but it wasn't like the writers were making it up as they went along. Like, they knew it. And so, for example, there's a Halloween episode, and that same Red Ranger dresses up as a robot, but like the boxy kind, like, you know, I take me to your leader kind of robot.
Right.
And his dad sees it and is like, whoa, like, he freaks out. But when you're watching it, it just seems like it doesn't make sense until later on when you find out the reveal.
That is pretty awesome.
A lot of those seasons, like Jungle Fury, Dino Thunder, Ninja Storm, a lot of them have these twists, like, because they know that they can pull them off. They all have the same kind of like pacing. It starts out with like maybe 5 Rangers, and then at some point they meet the 6th Ranger, and then he joins the team. But then there's a bad guy. There's one season. Mystic Force. I'm going on a rant.
That's okay.
But there's one season, Mystic Force, where the main villain is defeated in like episode 20. and then a new, much more threatening villain appears and basically shows how small the original fight was. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I definitely recommend digging through some of the middle seasons, from probably about Ninja Storm to Power Rangers Samurai, because some of them get really, really interesting.
Oh, good on Disney then.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I know all those subtitles, like Ninja Storm. I know all those. I just never have seen them. So yeah, maybe it is time to go back and see what it's all about, because I can't dwell on the originals for too long. I've gone back and rewatched those though, and they're still entertaining as hell.
Yeah,
they're always having something going on at like Ernie's Juice Bar or whatever. It's like Halloween, some kind of karate tournament.
R.I.P. by the way.
Did he die?
Yeah, he's dead.
Was it diabetes?
I'm sure it was something. He had too much juice. He overjuiced.
Yeah. That guy, I was thinking, because there was some story where he went down to Australia to be in the movie, and they cut everything he was in.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, oh man, that is so shitty. But then I was like, well, he got to go to Australia for vacation, basically. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder if that guy's still alive. Like, he was huge in the show.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. I don't know if he made it out of Last Millennium, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. I know that Bulk and Skull are
still with us.
Yeah, Bulk was in one of the more recent seasons of Power Rangers, and he was basically raising Skull's son. That was like his little subplot. He would just be raising. And then the twist is
Skull's it's actually son. Bulk's son.
Yeah, well,
Bulk's Skull.
I think what was his name? It was Spike. So it was Bulk and Spike. And Spike was Skull's son. But the actor who plays Skull is actually like an acting professor in like the University of Nevada or something like that.
Wow, that is intense.
You have a lot of time to read Wikipedia articles about Power Rangers, so you find out a lot.
Well, I want those little facts sprinkled in throughout the episode because, James, I have a good idea.
Okay.
We've talked so long about Power Rangers, and I know there's like 5 more episodes that we could do together. Don't even get me started. Yep. But let's start it off with top 5 Power Rangers. Do you have a list that looks something like that nearby?
Yeah, I do, actually.
All right. Well, we go from 5 to 1. I know you haven't been here before.
All right.
Our listeners are, hopefully, if you're new, we go from 5 to 1. 5 being the least important, 1 being the most.
Okay.
Now let's start with number 5. James, go ahead.
All right. I had to dig through a lot of different Rangers here, but I think I came up with a pretty strong one. Number 5, the Red Turbo Ranger.
Red Lightning Turbo Power!
Red Turbo Ranger played famously...
I'm talking first half of the season.
Okay, so when Tommy was the Red Ranger.
Tommy.
Before, I don't even know what the black guy's name was, but he came in later.
I think his name was the Black Guy. That was his name.
That's a strange turn. That was
it was weird, but I mean, that's what they went with, you know?
It was, it's really hard nowadays because you can't become an actor called the Black Guy because he's listed in the guild as that black guy.
You have to use like your middle initial or something.
Right, the Black R guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Turbo, is this when you stopped watching the series as a whole as a kid?
This is about where I stopped. I never saw the Turbo Power Rangers movie until I was an adult.
Okay.
And I can tell you exactly why. The little kid. Well, it's terrible, but the little kid.
The little kid did not care for it.
I hated him.
Nor did I understand
the concept of him transforming into a ranger and then growing into a ranger. It didn't make any sense.
That's exactly what stumped me as well. As a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, why don't they just make him short or just bring on someone who is an adult, a teenager in high school?
Yeah.
So, like, they just walk past the playground and Zordon's like, oh, that kid's got attitude, and just bring him onto the crew? Or, I don't even know how they met this kid.
His origin story actually is in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. That's like all his his story. Right. And basically, Rocky was supposed to be the Turbo Blue Ranger.
Right.
But Rocky injures himself in a karate match. He hurts himself and he's in the hospital, and this kid just happens to be one of those weird circle of friends kids that these Power Rangers hang out with when they're human beings. And so I think he's under the hospital bed where they're visiting Rocky, and he overhears them talking about being Power Rangers, and
Okay.
so then he gets kind of swept up in it and volunteers himself to help.
There we go. Now, was Rocky's injury kayfabe, like a real injury in real life? That's why he didn't come back? Or did he
No.
just get fired? Or
I think he just wanted out.
okay,
Yeah,
smart move, especially 4 seasons in.
I know.
It's pretty tough. Yeah, I don't know if I watched. Yeah, I'm like you. I think I may have seen the Turbo movie when it came on TV. Like, I didn't go out to the theaters to watch it. I think they kidnapped Jason and Kimberly, even though they weren't on the show anymore.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good show. So Turbo, they had cars.
I didn't have any problem with the vehicles; they were fine enough.
I can't even remember what they like the Megazord of that time, like Turbo Mega or whatever it was called.
Yeah, all I remember is that the front, Tommy had like the car, the dune buggy car with the lights in the front.
Okay.
And then I'm pretty sure for them to combine, he literally had to jump off a cliff. Like every single time, he had to go flying off a cliff and then land somewhere between the other cars that were all coming together. That's what I remember about that transformation.
I'm gonna have to go back because when I rewatched it recently, I stopped at Zeo. It was a pretty good ending considering.
Yeah.
And then they just went straight into they kicked it into Turbo, James, and
They certainly did.
I stopped watching it from there.
Yeah.
So Red Turbo Ranger, just the Tommy version, not the black guy version.
Just the Tommy version.
You would think I would look that up, but I'm not going to. My number 5
Okay.
here's an interesting pick. It might be controversial
Okay.
because it's kind of a cheat. It's the Pink Ranger,
Okay.
but it's Kimberly and Catherine, the Australian lady. So I'm just putting the Pink Rangers all together because as a kid, 8 years old, 7-year-old, you don't know what it feels like to be attracted to girls.
Go on.
Unless you watch Power Rangers. So you see
Okay.
Kimberly in the gymnastic stuff, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
stuff's starting to creak downstairs.
Okay.
And then Catherine with the accent, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
now I know what I want from a woman. I need gymnast who is from Australia.
Yeah.
Haven't found that yet, James.
Okay.
But I can think back to the Pink Ranger. I know that's it was pretty cool because Kimberly and again, this is something I noticed when I rewatched it. In the early seasons, like before they morph into Power Rangers, they do like legitimately fight the Putty Patrol or the birds or whatever.
Yeah.
Like using karate moves. When Kat comes on, like I try to keep an eye out on this. Like she never fights. She immediately morphs whenever there's the hint of trouble.
Yeah.
So I think they were like, I don't know, maybe there were like safety issues, like that we don't want these people to legitimately fight anymore. Like put the Japanese people in the suits and have them fight. But
Part of that might my theory is that part of that is that's when they actually had to start filming their own footage. Because the Mighty Morphin costumes, at a certain point they had to ask the Japanese production company to send them everything, like all the costumes and everything, because they needed to film more.
Right.
Because in Japan, those Mighty Morphin suits only lasted for one season, and then they moved on to something else.
Right. It was only 50 episodes of Japanese
Yeah.
footage, and they wanted to make 2 more seasons of the same thing, like with the same costumes. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, Kimberly, like Amy Jo Johnson or whatever, she would do fight scenes. Kat, whoever played Kat, would not.
Yeah.
So if you're putting them in, this is more of a top 2 list. Kat, number 2.
Okay.
Kimberly, number 1.
Gotcha.
And she was like 23. So if I was this age now, back in '93,
Yeah.
I might have had a chance.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But James, Pink Ranger, are you a fan? Are you?
Yeah, I'm down with the Pink Ranger. Yeah, I got no problems with the Pink Ranger. I think I'm glad that Kimberly especially always practically held her own in a fight. You know, like she was clearly a gymnast. Like that actress was clearly, Amy Jo Johnson was clearly a gymnast, and so somehow her fighting would involve doing a handstand.
Yeah.
For and holding it for 5 minutes, but that would be her fighting style or whatever. And so I kind of like
splits.
That. Yeah.
On a swing set or something.
And she had the bow and arrow, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I've actually. Have you ever seen any of the Japanese versions of the show?
Not of the Mighty Morphin season.
It is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like a small little Japanese girl, and she's they got that really high pitched voice.
Yeah.
And she's got the bow and arrow, so it's pretty funny to see the counterparts work and then have it nothing to do with the Angel Grove version that we've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 5, Pink Ranger.
That's a good one.
It's controversial because I included both the actresses that played them, and then after that, I don't think I didn't really care after that. After Kat left, I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, no one can top these two. All right, James, number 4. Let's get to it.
Number 4, I'm gonna go the Red Zeo Ranger.
Here is 5, red.
Okay,
so that's 2 reds in a row.
That's quite all right. Okay. Also played by Tommy.
Yes, that's true.
I like where you're going with this.
Okay,
I need to talk about Zeo. What are your thoughts on the Red Zeo Ranger?
Zeo for me as a kid, it was very strange because that was the first time I saw something beginning like a new continuity. Like they were like Power Ranger. I remember leading up to it. Power Ranger Zeo was coming, and I was like, "How? I don't understand." I had to have my older brother, who's 3 years older than me, explain how can Power Rangers not be Mighty Morphin Power? Like, what do they mean Zeo? And he basically just said, "It's newer, it's bigger." And I was like, "Okay, I can get behind that."
Okay.
But my big thing about the Red Zeo Ranger, besides the fact that it was Tommy, is that he had one of the only sensible helmets. Because they all have weird shapes, but his is a star.
Right.
And that's the only one that I'm pretty sure you could see out of.
Right.
Like another one was just like a plus sign, and then there were 2 lines, and I was like, does his mouth need to see out of it too? But the star actually made sense on a helmet, and I kind of dug that.
He's got a wide peripheral as opposed to like the division symbol.
Yeah.
You kind of have to like wink to see through. That is funny.
Yeah.
I like that. But he also had the like the punching boxing Zord. Am I right there?
Oh yes,
the thing that would just like punch like crazy, and for a while it was like, oh yeah, Tommy, like you have to control this Zord with your mind, man. And he would go in. He's like, I can't control it, so it's just punching the shit out of itself.
Yep.
That was back when he went and visited like Jimmy Cornstalk or something, his Native American.
Oh yeah.
Like stepfather.
Did he find
or
his brother? He found his brother.
He did, and we
He's
all
like, I didn't even realize I had a Native American brother that lived in the desert.
We all thought he was another ranger, but we'll get to that. But yeah, like I was in the same boat with you. Like it was changing, but then the storyline between how they got to be Zeo, I thought was like, again, as a kid, like great storytelling. Like you see them destroy the power coins, you're like, well, that's fucking over. Yeah. And so you're like, what are they gonna do? And then their children. And then they got to go find the crystals, and then there's the command center's destroyed. It was a lot to take in for a kid who's used to the status quo of just cheesy storyline after cheesy storyline, just a huge erase of the landscape. It's pretty intense, but yeah, it happens all the time now. Yeah, like people reboot movies for no reason whatsoever. But it was pretty intense as a kid. So yeah, I like the Zeo series. That's when I stopped. When I went back for Netflix. Yeah. That's where I ended my road. Yeah. I don't think it could get any better than Zeo. I was like, I think it starts to go downhill from here.
It starts to spread itself a little thin, I think.
Let's see. My number 4 is a Red Ranger. Tyrannosaurus! There we go. Okay. He's Red Mighty Morphin. Yeah. And I'm going to go Jason, not Rocky. Right. I'm sorry, good. Rocky. He's cool. That's okay. But Jason, he was just so energetic. He was so committed to his craft. Yeah. He knew karate out the ass, so like no problem there. And I don't think he ever really struggled with much. There might have been one episode where Jason was like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. But like every other episode.
He had his holding his chest and reaching out with his hand on one knee.
Yeah. But he always knew what to do. He was like the leader until Tommy rolled in. Nothing against Tommy, but man, that was intense those days. And then he eventually just kind of faded out. Yeah, old Jason. Like I would have loved to see him in the movie as opposed to Rocky. He was the youngest of the. He was 17 when the show started. Really? Yeah, he was the youngest of the crew. Oh, so how sweet would that have been? Like junior high school. Hey, we need you to be a Power Ranger. Fuck like, yeah.
What? Hell yeah. My big thing with Jason is that he will always perpetually be muscular in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as a kid, he was like the most jacked teenager like I've ever seen and will ever see.
There's definitely probably no steroids on that show because he wasn't that big. But he was chiseled, and he was always like greasy, like he put baby oil on. There
was one episode where he and Bulk have a bench press off, where they just basically they have, I don't know, not even that much weight on the bar, but they're just seeing how many reps they can do on the bench press, and I think he ends up doing like 100 and something. He does one more rep than Bulk or something, and everyone like claps for him and cheers for him or whatever. But well, as an adult, I watched it and I was like, that's dangerous and probably not very good for you. But as a kid, I was like, oh my god, he's just a muscle man.
100 reps of any weight is gonna eventually just blow you out.
Yeah.
And he used to, that Green Ranger series of shows when he first came onto the scene, like, weren't they in like a karate contest?
Yeah.
And that was, like, as a kid, of course I was doing karate on my own because I watched Power Rangers. Clearly that qualifies me as a master.
Naturally.
So I would just watch that episode over and over again because I had it on VHS. And I was like, man, this is so cool. Like, it's like they're really fighting, but I kind of know that they're not because they might get hurt. So it's like... and then, apparently, again, reading Wikipedia, they didn't care for each other, James.
The actors?
The actors, Jason and Tommy, you think they're best friends on the show. They are not good friends in real life.
Oh, man.
They'd constantly, like, argue, and they think they were the shit. And so it was a macho contest behind the scenes.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I think MMA fighter Tommy wants to fight Jason in the ring, and
does he?
Yeah, Jason doesn't want to do it, so they're constantly calling each other out nowadays too.
I've seen pictures. Austin St. John, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I've seen pictures of him recently, and he's not like Tommy. Like, Jason David Frank is still crazy martial arts guy,
right?
Strong and Power Rangers oriented.
Jacked.
So I could understand declining that offer to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, really. Professional MMA just to get myself on TV?
Yeah.
I'll go for that.
Yeah.
His agent's like, no. You haven't been working in 17 years. I don't think
his agent's like, why are you calling me?
Oh, maybe I'll have him on the show sometime, make him feel better.
Yeah.
He pops up on Inside Gaming, pops up on the 5cast. He's back on it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Red Ranger from Season 1 to middle of Season 2. Mm-hmm. And then for a couple episodes, it was some guy's voice. I didn't notice that as a kid either.
It was the back of someone's head. and then it was his voice that they just took clips from other episodes.
I liked it when they would splice the crew like in the command center, so they'd show an old clip of them just standing there, and then they'd go back to just the three that were still on the show, wearing different clothes.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, we were all there a second. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it's kind of haunting now thinking back that I was that dumb, but again, enjoyable nonetheless. Red Ranger.
Yeah.
Number 4. All right, I have an interesting number 3, but go ahead with your number 3, James. Let's see it.
My number 3 is probably one of the most popular Rangers in all of Power Rangers history. So. And it's going to be the White Ranger.
Tiger Sword!
Oh, mine's a White Ranger too.
Is it?
I forgot you put
Doubled
that
up
there.
The White Ranger. Yep.
Nice. I made a technicality though.
Okay.
I wanted to mix it up a little bit, so I put the White Ranger from the movie.
White Tiger!
So just the shiny gold, shiny suit.
50 pounds worth of padding.
Yeah, the Falcon Zord from the movie. I mean, he was cool on the show too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You liked his Tiger Zord or whatever.
I'm gonna go White Tiger. And then what was his talking staff's name?
Sabin Sama? No. I can look that up real quick.
Whatever. Here's the thing about the White Ranger. That Power Ranger doesn't even exist in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He is from a completely different season of Super Sentai. He's from the season that follows the Zeo Ranger or whatever, the what they used to make Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Right.
He is from a different season. And when they ran out of Green Ranger footage, because the Green Ranger dies in the Japanese season, which is why
Spoilers.
they had to get rid of his powers. The White Ranger is another Ranger from the next season, and if you go back and watch it, you notice that any single time something happens, they're like, "You go handle this problem in the park, Tommy. We'll go handle the stuff in the city." And then they always separate, and then they never get back together until they're in their Zords again, because that's when they can use the combined footage.
Yeah, like because they were still using the old costumes from season 1.
Yep.
He was in a new costume.
Yeah.
So the Japanese footage did not mesh at all.
Nope. There's a whole season of Power Rangers costumes that we missed out on because they just used the White Ranger. But you should go look them up. It's pretty cool. The season that comes right after, I think it's ZU Ranger or whatever.
Right.
Kiryu, Sati, Pseudo Ranger.
There you go. Yeah, so the season
like
that comes right after that, it's just a bunch of Power Rangers that look like the White Ranger. It's kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
I'm a little pissed that we missed out on them.
Yeah, when I did not notice a lot of it. I was hoping for more White Ranger Japanese footage, but that kind of explains it now because clearly they couldn't use a lot of footage because he was probably interacting with the other Rangers of his universe.
Yep.
And it would have just thrown kids into a tizzy.
There's like one episode where he spends half the time like tied to a tree. Like they made such a big deal about him having so much power. Right. It's like the most powerful Power Ranger, but yet he's tied to a tree. I actually have the white Tiger Megazord right behind me in my little shelf of toys.
I can't. I'm gonna have to video chat you later and see that.
So I could tweet you a picture or something of it if you need it too. But
do I need it? I do need it, James.
I think you need it. So I do like the Falcon Zord. Yes. But the White Tiger is got to be my pick.
And his sword was Saba.
Saba.
S-A-B-A.
Okay.
So it's like Saban except without the N.
He'd be like, "Of course, Tommy. Let's get you out of here." It didn't sound anything like you would imagine a white mythical tiger being to sound.
Penetrate me into the Tiger Zord so I can control it.
Yep.
You got it, Saba. Yeah.
Though he at least got to ride inside of this Zord, which I liked.
I had the toy. I might have had the Tiger Zord toy too. I don't know where that went. And it would have like the little guy you could put on the little tiger's head. Yep. The movie White Ranger. Surprisingly, we don't see the White Tiger in the movie, which was a horrible miscalculation on their part.
Yeah.
But the Falcon Zord was a pretty sweet replacement, especially when I think if you remember the trailer, like that was like the end of the preview.
Yeah.
The Falcon would like point its fire rocket wings at you and then just cut to black, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like real shiny, real awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Had all the trading cards. So I'm giving my number 3 spot as well to the White Ranger movie version.
That's a fair pick.
Maybe they'll bring him back for the new one.
You know, those costumes apparently weighed. They were like 60 to 70 pounds each or something. Like the costumes were so heavy that the actors had a hard time just like walking around. Obviously, they had stuntmen to do the more elaborate stuff, but they had a hard time just moving around in those because they were so used to spandex whenever they had to wear the spandex. So
that's crazy. Yeah, they have a few around here where I live. They have one at Disney, and then there's one at a Planet Hollywood. And the guy who plays Adam, he was like, "Oh yeah, they were gonna give it away, but I stole like the cold coin that was in the chest." So he kept the coin, and so it's mounted somewhere without the movie coin in the chest. So I thought that was pretty funny. It's like,
and no one noticed.
No one gives a shit. Like, oh yeah, Black Ranger. My kid watched that 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, check it out, White Ranger the movie. That's what's coming.
Yeah.
Number 2, James, go.
All right, number 2. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into Power Rangers. Like I said, there is some merit to some of the later seasons, and especially one of those seasons is Dino Thunder.
Yeah, I saw this on your list.
And so I'm going to go number 2, the Black Dino Ranger.
Dino Thunder! Power up! Dino Thunder! Black Ranger!
I have no clue what
he
that
controlled,
one is.
I think it was like a Brontosaurus. He was basically a Brontosaurus Ranger.
I always wondered where the Brontosaurus was in the first season. I was like, man, why don't they bring up a Bron... Oh, then they had the... Oh, they did have one. Never mind, sorry.
Yeah.
The Ultrasaur.
But Titanus.
That's right.
That was Titanus, yeah.
Sweet.
But what's significant about the Black Dino Ranger is that he is kind of one of those late game. He shows up halfway through the series to support the 3 lead Power Rangers.
Okay.
And he happens to be Tommy from the original seasons.
I heard my name. You missed me, didn't you, Zeltrax?
What?
Yes, Tommy. He returned.
Wow.
Jason David Frank returned as Tommy, who is now a professor. He's like a scientist, kind of. And
of dinosaurs?
Actually, he researches with this other guy, like ancient dinosaur beings and stuff.
Okay.
And then there's like an accident, and his partner becomes corrupted and kind of becomes the main villain, and then Tommy is thought to be killed in an explosion but actually escapes and then finds the new young kids who would become the new Power Rangers for that season.
So he's in the entire season?
He's in the entire season, but he's more of the Zordon type. He kind of guides them and helps them. And there's actually an episode where I don't think he made himself very available for it. I think he was down to come back, but there's like a good 3 episodes where he's just invisible.
A black dino gem. Let me guess. The power of invisibility.
Looks like it.
Like, oh no, you got hit with an invisibility spell. And it's clearly because he had to be out of town or couldn't be there for those 3 episodes.
They put a Beetleborg spell on us.
Yeah. But I remember in college, at one point I was flipping through the channels and saw Power Rangers, and I was like, wow, Power Rangers is still on? And it was still on, and it had Tommy. And so...
So you probably thought he had been on the show for like 10 years?
I immediately jumped on the internet to see if this was still going on, because I was like, I thought he left during Turbo. I could have sworn he left during Turbo. And he did, but season was significant because he came back as Tommy.
So that means it takes place in the same Power Ranger verse.
They all take place in the same universe. There's Easter eggs throughout all like 20 seasons of Power Rangers that connect them all in the same universe. It's really... Actually, there's an episode in Dino Thunder where he gives them like a CD to watch, which tells the entire history of all the Power Rangers leading up to that point, to kind of prep them for their battle.
So different planets too, or are they all on the same planet?
Well, I mean, there are some seasons that take place in space, like Power Rangers in Space, kind of halfway takes place in space, but then there's like Lost Galaxy, which takes place in a space station.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Flying through galaxies and everything, and then there's like Time Force, which takes place half in the future. And...
Weren't they like space police for a while too? Yeah,
there's Space Patrol Delta, and so it takes place intergalactically.
Okay,
but they are all existing in the same universe. There's actually there is a season, Mystic Force, where they are all wizards.
Okay.
And one of the wizards, they have to find a wizard or a person with like magical power, and the person they end up finding is Rita Repulsa from the first season.
Oh yeah, she turned into like a like her and Zed were washed over with some kind of good. Oh yeah, that's right. Zordon died, and he turned the universe.
Sacrificed himself.
That's right.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy how everything's tied together. You have to give it some credit. But.
Yeah, I like the people on Earth who have lived through 20 different versions of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Like the one guy's just like, wow, there's Power Rangers everywhere. Damn.
Yeah.
They've saved me like 70 times.
It's like the Hunger Games. Every single year, someone's going to get picked. They all know, and it might be them, and they can't talk about it, but they got to do it.
You can't talk about it.
Yeah. But that's my number 2, Black Dino Ranger.
Okay, so he's still Tommy.
Yep.
He doesn't date Kimberly anymore, I'm assuming, because they broke up. Does he have like a wife and kids or anything?
I don't think he's with. I can't remember. They mentioned Kimberly. They mentioned Kimberly because they watch the video and they see that they had kind of a relationship, and I think the kids ask him about it, and he kind of like brushes it off. So,
oh, man, she left me, dude.
Yeah.
I was too powerful for her. I was the White Ranger.
It wasn't it that she had an opportunity to go to the Olympics? Wasn't
Something
that why
like that? Yeah,
she left?
Yeah. Or the Power Ranger universe version. It was like the gymnastics Olympics.
The Fun Olympics.
Yeah. My number 2 is going back to Zeo.
Okay.
Okay, here's the story with this one. It's the Gold Zeo Ranger, by the way.
Gold Ranger power!
Okay. When I was a kid, I invented my own Power Ranger. I was like, okay, he's going to be gold. He's going to have a Cobra Zord. His weapon's going to be like a bow staff that's shaped like a cobra.
Okay.
I had this all planned out. I didn't know who to contact about it. I was like, asking my parents, hey, how do I write to the Power Rangers? Like, we don't fucking know. There's no internet, so I just had no idea. Pretty sweet, right, James?
That's pretty cool. I mean, you were probably, like, really popular and cool.
Nope. Incorrect.
You had lots of friends.
Nope. James, no. I think you're getting the wrong idea here, buddy.
Oh, okay.
No, no one agreed with me that it was a cool Ranger, but I did. And eventually, they created it. Not the same kind of interpretation that I had, because what did he have? Like a pyramid?
He had pyramidas.
A huge lugging of a machine. Like, what if you hit a mountain or something? Can't move past that.
Yeah.
But I think the suit was really sweet. Like, he had the chest plate of a Green Ranger kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he had, like, he almost had a staff. It was kind of like a half staff thing.
Yeah.
He was at half staff.
Yeah.
And so I think they got the essence of what I was thinking. So maybe one of my letters made it to somewhere.
How did you feel about the fact that he was not really entirely gold? He was more black than gold.
I didn't mind that so much.
Okay.
Because when I was thinking about designing the suit, I was like trying to do it off of the first couple of seasons where he had like the diamond and then it was just all gold. And I was like, that kind of looks kind of fruity.
Yeah.
So I was like, my mind couldn't wrap itself around any other kind of design, so I just kind of abandoned the idea. And then what they did with it I thought was really cool. Because it wasn't entirely gold. It wasn't like obnoxiously gold. It just had some gold. And I also liked the fact that it was like a murder mystery. Like, who was the Gold Ranger? Like, is it Jason? Is it Billy? Is it Tommy's Native American kind of cousin brother?
Yeah.
So yeah, as a kid, you just love that shit. So whenever he shows up, and again, it was probably the same thing like you were talking about, where did he belong in that series?
Yeah, he did.
In Japan,
yeah,
was he
I
part
think
of it?
he was. There's always like the 5, and then they always add like a 6th Ranger somewhere along the line, and he was the 6th Ranger for that season.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I didn't like what they did with it when we finally found out who it was. You remember? It was like the weird alien that could split into 3 things.
Oh, right.
And he was like, I can't hold myself together. Someone's going to have to take the gold power.
Yeah.
Billy was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And producers were like, no, we don't like you. So he couldn't get the power.
Yeah. Sorry, no glasses.
So Tommy was like, I'll bring on an old friend. And it was the guy he hated in real life, Jason.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty sweet that Jason was back on board with Tommy. And again, best of friends on the show. Not so great friends on set, but as a kid, you don't know that stuff. So it was a pretty enjoyable ride.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good choice. I think bringing back Jason was pretty cool, really cool at the time. The only downside to the Gold Ranger was pyramidas, as far as I'm concerned. Because it would be a giant pyramid, and then it would stand up into a giant pyramid with arms, which it's not like the pyramid became something else. It was, and even the toy was clunky. And then when they all combined, they would basically just disappear into the back of the pyramid.
They'd sit in like a garage or something.
Yeah, it was that, and then Tommy's punching Zord or something would just have like arms that would just stick over the top. But that was it, and I'm like, that's lame. That's a weak transformation. But everything else about Gold Ranger I like.
Yeah, I had the toy. That was one of my big toys.
Yep.
So yeah, and I have that's why it's so high on the list. A very strong attachment to the Gold Zeo Ranger because I feel like I invented it, and I'm so egotistical that I think that I did. So there you go.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now I think, holy shit, I don't think this has ever been done before, James.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with my co-host Ben, who will be back next week to discuss top 5 Back to the Future moments.
Okay.
If you want to know why we're talking about that, listen to episodes 29, 30, and 31 because that's an epic time travel trilogy that we did.
All right.
Not you personally, the listeners.
Oh,
you can listen too, James.
All right, what's up?
Yeah, you can say yes and not do it. I'm fine with that too.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think this has ever been done before. The same number 1.
Same number. Well, there's only one answer, really.
I agree.
There's only one answer.
There really is. Go ahead, James.
The Green Ranger.
Dragon Sword!
That is correct.
The Green Ranger.
You passed the test.
Ranger is the best Ranger by far because not only does he start out evil, so he has that kind of anti-hero edge.
Mm-hmm.
He is also Tommy. He has
Also
an amazing Zord, right?
Yes.
Probably the best Zord.
Top 5 Zords coming soon.
Yeah. And then he also has the most kick-ass theme song in the history of Power Rangers, or dare I say, any television series of all time.
Go, Green Ranger, go!
Yeah.
We're back from it. Yeah, awesome theme song. Even the Zord flute song was badass.
Oh, everything was badass.
He'd come out, he'd be like, just destroy a factory for no reason, even though he was the good guy.
Yep.
So badass. Yeah,
I always felt bad for people that worked at that harbor. Because
Every
every
time.
single time the Dragon Zord would crawl out of the ocean, and then stomp through the harbor, and they go, all right, well, everyone take lunch. Take a long lunch. The Dragon Zord's coming through.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Setting it up. Setting the dock back up as the Zord goes back into the ocean.
Yep.
Oh, and the really great storyline was when Rita for some reason, I guess because she created the Green Ranger, she could take away his power with a candle.
Yeah, well, she created him. She created the Green Ranger power source, I think, because the best tool to defeat the Power Rangers was to use her own Power Ranger.
Oh my god!
But what she didn't count on was his being just a generally good person to overcome all that. Because for a while he had that badass sword, which made him even cooler.
Right.
But the problem was what she used to create the power in the first place was linked to this magical green candle. And as he used his power, the candle burned, and then that meant that they ran out of Green Ranger footage. So...
Exactly, because, spoiler alert, in Japan, Green Ranger doesn't live very long.
Oh, no.
Is he the guy's... I don't know.
He's the brother. I think he's the brother.
Yeah, he's the brother.
Of the
I was
Red
about to
Ranger.
say.
Yeah.
That was something I discovered as an adult, too. I mean, again, fucking dumb kid doesn't know this Japanese footage. I was like, why aren't the lips matching up? I don't know. The footage looks different. Of course, as an adult, you realize it's from Japan. And so I'm reading up on the history there, and it's like, it doesn't live very long. He dies.
Yep.
I think they keep his shield, like the Red Ranger can use the shield at any given time.
I think there's one episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers where Green Ranger gives Jason the dragon shield.
Just an all-around badass guy.
He's just cool. He's so cool that people want his stuff. He's played by Tommy. He's just the baddest. And like you said, he does the Iya, right?
Yeah.
Spinning kicks, and that's the best. He was super powerful. He's number one. He's number one.
It was funny. I was talking to James on Twitter, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, man, what's your top 5 Power Rangers, dude?" And he gives it to me. Mm-hmm. And I go, well, there's a Tommy theme to this. And I said something like that. I go, oh, somebody likes Tommy. And then I was like, hashtag, Itza!
Yeah.
Oh, man, I hope he knows what I'm saying.
I got it. Don't worry, I got it.
It was a really badass fight scene during that Green Ranger, that 5-episode arc or whatever, where he's evil.
Yeah.
Had that on VHS. And Jason, to go back to Jason, badass Ranger, fighting Goldar in the mystical dimension or wherever the fuck they were.
Yeah, without any powers.
That's intense as a kid because, again, nowadays it's like, oh, well, we have to fill out the whole episode.
Yeah.
So we'll just put him in put some black cloth around some jail bars and we'll have him fight the costume guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's intense as a kid. And Green Ranger lives on, I think, because didn't he come back for the 20th anniversary or something? I think he went back into the show as the Green Ranger.
Yeah, I think there's an episode of Dino Thunder where he as the Black Ranger though like has to go back and confront his demons or something, and then Tommy has to battle through all of his iterations. So he fights himself first as the Turbo Ranger, and then the Red Zeo Ranger, and then he fights himself as the White Ranger, and then the last person he has to fight is himself as the Green Ranger.
Oh my god, I need to watch this.
It's pretty badass.
So if Hollywood is listening, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
When you make that movie,
Yeah.
a few things to do, James, and I think you know what I'm saying here. Takes place in the old movie universe from 1995. Nothing's changed except the actors.
Yeah.
It's still 1995.
I like it.
It's got to have some gymnast / Australian accent Pink Ranger.
Okay.
Hands down. No problem. A sweet sword. So something like the Green Ranger sword or the White Ranger sword, just something that talks. And of course, the Green Ranger.
Yes.
So Green Ranger, I don't know. I don't care if he's evil, good. He's probably going to be played by Tommy one way or another.
Yeah.
You think they're going to bring him into the movie?
I doubt it. I
Really?
doubt it. Yeah, I mean, there may be cameo. I'm sure they'll find a way to integrate like a cameo, like some kid will skate by some place, and then they'll be like working behind a counter or something. They'll get one or two of the original guys in there. But from what I've heard, the production company, Saban Entertainment or whatever, was not very fun to work with.
Green Ranger wasn't?
Well, not necessarily Green Ranger, but the Haim Saban who brought it, Americanized it. I don't know that they were the best production company. I'm pretty sure they were just a bunch of cheapos who brought together.
Really, James? You watch that show? The cheap doesn't pop into the mind.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they were smart businessmen doing the smart thing to do for as little money as possible. But
I think that's why the 3 left, because they wanted pay raises, and they're like,
they did.
Fuck
I think
that.
so.
Nope, you're done.
They called their bluff. And they put them on a plane to become international, whatever, consultants, or whatever those. Send a couple of 16-year-olds across the globe to settle problems with the world.
Yeah, they're working in Africa somewhere. Don't bother. We have 3 more. All right.
Yeah.
Kids forget about them with the 80 HD.
Yeah.
They don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, James, this has been an excellent time. We've crunched the numbers. That's the end of the episode.
All right.
But of course, if you have your own top 5 Power Rangers, please send them to us. Send us your list. Send us your favorite seasons. You can reach out to us at 5castpodcast@gmail.com. It's time to say goodbye, but I'm sure we'll see you next time.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, take care, buddy. Take 5.
You too.
Go, go, power!